There are 3 subtle behaviors that extremely magnetic people use, and most of you don't even notice them, let alone know how to use them. I've spent the last 6 years as an international dating coach, helping hundreds of men transform their ability to attract. And what I've realized is this: the ability to attract is everything. Whether it's dating, business, friendships, or just leaving a lasting impression, your ability to stand out, connect, and be remembered determines how far you go in life. And if you're not magnetic, you're invisible. Most people never realize why others gravitate towards certain individuals, but the truth is, it's not looks, it's not money, it's these 3 rare behaviors that hardly anyone ever speaks about. If you don't understand them, you'll constantly feel like you're missing out in social situations. But once you do, you'll have this kind of social cheat code that gives you a competitive edge and an advantage in every room that you walk into. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. After this video, when you see someone extremely confident, extremely charismatic, you're gonna feel like Neo from the Matrix, because you're gonna see the code behind their presence. Firstly, what does it mean to not fucking be magnetic? Quite simply, repelling, forgettable. Things like low presence, insecurity, inauthenticity, closed off, draining energy, and forgettable come to mind. But when you are magnetic, cue inspirational music and cheesy B-roll scene, you have the ability to attract others and captivate them. Often on a subconscious level, people are drawn to you, not because of how you look, but how you make them feel. And how you make them feel depends on how you feel. It all starts with you. Now that we got that out the way, let's begin. Here we have a cup and it is filled. When this cup is already filled, it can fill the other cups around it. The other cups are all extremely happy because they like to be filled. On the other hand, here we have a cup and it has nothing inside. So the other cups have to constantly add to it because they have to share now what they have inside. The other cups don't like this because they have to give away what they already have. Now, who do you think the cups are going to gravitate towards? Do you think that they're going to gravitate towards the cup that is always full and it's giving the others what it has? Or are they going to gravitate towards the cup that is constantly having to take from them because it has nothing to give? Obviously, they're going to gravitate towards the cup that is constantly giving out because it has more to give. Humans are much like these cups, and what's inside represents good emotions. We naturally gravitate towards those that are constantly filling up our cups with good emotion. So what is point number 1? Point number 1 is self-amusement. So those who are self-amused are magnetic. So how do you become self-amused? You can use this one technique. In every situation, ask yourself, how can I make this 5% more fun? And what your mind will do is it'll start coming up with ways to make what you're doing more fun, whether it's joking around, listening to music, or gamifying what you're doing in that moment. Or just realize that 100 million years from now, the world's gonna be a giant ball of ice and there's gonna be absolutely zero record of the human existence, so you might as well enjoy this brief stint of consciousness while it lasts. Your choice. When they say self-amusement, it's like standing in the middle of a corridor with hundreds of people going past, trying to make a video, but you've got a fucking concert going on beside you, and all you need to do is enjoy it. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, we'll go on to point number 2. All right, point number 2, it's similar to point number 1. It's just different. I have a friend, he's quite charismatic. And the one day I was watching him and there was a group of people around him and they were just really enjoying being in his presence. And I went up to him afterwards and I said, man, what are you actually doing to have this effect on the people around you? He said, be the emotional drug dealer. And I asked him what that meant. And then he told me a quote that he shamelessly paraphrased and claimed it as his own. And the quote goes like this: people remember how you make them feel, not what you say. To be fair, it's quite a good quote. Point number 2 is be extremely positive. But what is the definition of positivity to begin with? Interpreting life in an empowering way. That's the definition of positivity. And an analogy to explain this is like you have a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer reacts to the environment and a thermostat sets the environment. Positive people are like the thermostat because whenever they go into an environment, they uplift the energy. They set the tone. They're not reacting to the environment. You want to be like the thermostat. It's all about interpretation because you can always find something positive in every single situation. And the more you look for those positives, the more you'll emanate that type of energy. And finally, point number 3 that brings it all together. And I want to tell you this point with a story. I was sitting in Miami with a good friend of mine who's done quite well financially. We were at this Thai where he actually has an apartment. We're sitting at the restaurant downstairs having a drink. And he points at some guy sitting at the end of the bar. He's dressed a little bit worse than everyone around him, button-up shirt, shorts, flip-flops, sipping a coffee, reading the newspaper, and he goes, "You see that guy sitting there?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, last year, he just sold his company for 500 million USD. And that blew me away. Not the fact that he could buy a small country in Africa, but by the fact that he was just unperturbed by the amount of wealth that he had accumulated, and he had absolutely zero to prove. Zero desire to tell anyone about his accomplishments, just sitting there completely relaxed, nothing to prove. And that made me realize point number 3. Not having anything to prove is an extremely powerful magnetic trait to have. And to truly hit this point home, imagine a candle in a wind tunnel, just flickering all over the place, getting blown by the wind, reacting to every gust of air, struggling to stay lit. And that's what most people are like, constantly chasing validation, over-explaining themselves, flexing, reacting. Essentially, their flame is at the mercy of the environment. Now picture the same candle, but it's inside a glass case. The wind is still howling around the candle. The world is chaotic, it's loud, but the candle just burns steadily and calmly because it's protected by the glass case. That glass case is its confidence. And that's exactly what it looks like to have nothing to prove. You don't need to shout, you don't need to chase, you don't need to explain, you just are. If you've gotten this far in the video, well done. You don't have the attention span of a brain dead rat. I want to make you aware of a group that I'm going to be starting, a community. I don't have a cool name yet. I will have a cool name. But what is the community? It's almost like Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club. The community. We'll call it the community for now, right? What's going to be in the community? It's going to be a group of guys who are realizing the potential in life financially, physically, and in their love life. 3 pillars of a successful life, as cheesy as that sounds, but that's the purpose of life, right? We've got to make the most of this brief stint of consciousness that we have. In the group, you'll have the ability to network with other individuals globally, and you'll also be able to learn from other people who are far more advanced in their respective field. If that is of interest to you, send me an email, journeyofles@gmail.com. I'll be in contact and I'll see if you're the right fit. Obviously, there's going to be a selection process. We're not just going to let any Tom, Dick, and Harry in. A lot of dicks, no girls, just guys. You get the point, right? That's the end of the video. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.